All right, so let's look at this synthesis and notice that it resolves multiple tensions at once. We have the absolute finality of Mystery Babylon's fall, which is necessary because the Bible pictures that Babylon will one day fall and not rise again. What we also notice with this particular synthesis is that we can observe the certainty of Jerusalem's restoration, like I just mentioned. The prophetic language of found no more finally has its fullest interpretation, or has its actualization when we say that Mystery Babylon is found no more. Could it be that it's called a mystery because we've always been looking at it through the lens of the physical Mystery Babylon that will be found no more? Yet the Bible, as is typical with mysteries, was pointing at something a little more mysterious, right? Pun intended there. It was the covenant identity that was found no more, that will be found no more. Not necessarily that the geography of where physical Israel is will be found no more. Although, don't get me wrong, as we're going to work our way down through this excursus, we're going to pull out some of Chris White's nuggets and show you that there is going to be some heavy topographical reforming going on, some terraforming, a lot of geographical changes if we take the day of the Lord seriously. And then this synthesis also resolves the tension of the promise of New Jerusalem's glory. So moving from Mystery Babylon into Jerusalem's glory, we can easily link these two back together using the motif that I'm drawing from right now, which is a spiritual rebirth. All of this is held together by the biblical logic of death preceding life. Jerusalem's end-time destruction, described as a flood, follows a deeply embedded biblical pattern in which judgment functions as transition rather than termination. Transition, right? Interpreted through the lens of baptism, the fall of Mystery Babylon represents the corporate death of Jerusalem's apostate identity. The flood buries the harlot, cleanses the land of blood guilt, purges the rebels, and prepares the way for resurrection. Let me read that one again. That's the meat of my study tonight. Let me highlight it for you on the screen so it's easier for you to follow along, because largely I'm using less infographics for this particular excursus. I want you to be able to follow the screen for your primary notes. I didn't even create any PowerPoint. We're just using my notes. Interpreted through the lens of baptism, the fall of Mystery Babylon represents the corporate death of Jerusalem's apostate identity. The flood buries the harlot, cleanses the land of blood guilt, purges the rebels, and prepares the way for resurrection. Kind of all makes sense to me. And so what emerges is not a rebel harlot. Not a rebuilt harlot. Or even a rebel harlot. Either one would work. I misspoke there, but both work. What emerges when Jerusalem rises from the ashes, and she does suffer destruction, no matter if you think she's Mystery Babylon or not. There's heavy destruction that takes place in Jerusalem because of the Day of the Lord activities, because of the Antichrist's desolation. She must be cleansed either way. If you think Mystery Babylon is some other city, we still have to deal with the fact that Antichrist, big, bad, ugly, marched into the temple, plopped his rump down on the Holy of Holies, probably, something like that, and declared himself to be God, defiled the whole place, right? We need another Chanukah. We need another cleansing of that temple. Yeah, either way, she's going to be defiled. So what emerges, I say, is not a rebuilt harlot, but a redeemed city, cleansed, refined, and restored according to God's covenant promises. Let's move into the final conclusion. The biblical narrative consistently portrays salvation, restoration, and covenant transformation through the pattern of death preceding life. When applied to Jerusalem, this pattern explains how she can be destroyed with utter finality in Revelation and yet reemerge in glory during the millennium and ultimately in eternity. The destruction of Mystery Babylon is the destruction of the city's harlot identity. The restoration of Jerusalem fulfills God's covenant promises, and the descent of the New Jerusalem completes the story in eschatological glory. The city that dies is not the city that rises, yet both are historically and covenantally continuous. This death and resurrection pattern is the theological heart of God's dealing with his people and his city. The biblical story never moves from judgment to nothingness. Jerusalem's destiny follows the same divine logic. She dies as Babylon so that she may live as Zion. The flood does not contradict redemption. It accomplishes it. And in the end, the city that once rejected her Messiah becomes the dwelling place of his glory forever. That'll do it for Eschatology, a biblical study of end-time events.